Did you ever used to have the fear of those guys that would dress up as Santa Claus in the mall or at Christmas parties? Up until the age of about 8, I certainly did. I think I was 6 or 7 years old when me and my mom were walking through the mall with all the festivities and decorations up. Festive bins, playing jingle bells, and a giant Christmas tree in the center of the mall. And of course, a mall Santa sitting in the chair covered by a green blanket. There was a small line of kids and parents waiting to sit on the Santa's lap, maybe 2 or 3 kids. My mom insisted that I sat on his lap. Normally it would be the other way around, the kid begging the parent to sit on his lap. But she knew how shy I was. There wasn't anyone by the mall's Santa's side, like one of those who'd call the next child up. It was just him. When I sat on the stranger's lap, he grabbed me by my chest and said softly in my ear, "What do you want for Christmas?" I think I said a Game Boy Advance. He laughed and assured me I would receive one. Then, for whatever reason, my mom walked up to the Santa and said something quietly to him. He chuckled in response to whatever she said and then said, "No problem." My mom told me to wait by the Santa for a few minutes until she came back. At this moment, there were no more kids waiting to sit on his lap, so his attention was directed at me. He told me to come over and sit on his lap again. I somehow obeyed despite my fear of Santa Claus. When I sat on his lap, he pulled me closer to him so that my back was leaning on him. When I think back to this moment now, it's all the more painful and creepy. He then whispered in my ear that he had a Game Boy Advance outside his sled, and that if I followed him, I would get it right now and wouldn't have to wait until Christmas. My fear suddenly turned to excitement as I believed him. We both stepped off the chair, and I followed him down one of the exit hallways. But halfway through, he stopped and told me we should take a bathroom break first. We stepped into the bathroom, and he quickly locked the door. I turned and looked at him, and he looked at me, but before anything else could happen, there was a frantic banging at the door. Someone on the other side was yelling to open up. The Santa opened the door, and the man pulled him and shoved him. The man then escorted me back to the center of the mall, asking me where my mom went. I watched as a fake Santa casually walked out the exit door and out of my sight. When my mom came back, the man explained everything. I'm pretty sure he was watching the whole time. So he and my mom asked around to see if the mall hired any mall Santas for the day. They did not. Whoever that was just a pervert dressed as Santa to get kids to sit on his lap and possibly wait for the perfect opportunity to scratch me, just like he almost did me. This happened when I was 5 years old. It was Christmas Eve night, meaning, I guess, it was technically Christmas, and I had awoken at probably 3 a.m. or something. I walked downstairs to the living room out of my little boy curiosity to see if Santa has delivered any presents yet. The tree was full of presents underneath already. I was so happy. Santa had come. But what was this? There was someone in my kitchen going through the fridge. I remember stepping into the kitchen and seeing a really tall man going through the fridge, chugging a milk carton. When he spotted me, he put the milk carton back in the fridge and shut the door. He put his fingers to his lips to tell me to be quiet. Are you Santa? I asked him. Yes, I am, he told me quietly. He passed me, patted me on the head, and stepped into the living room next to the tree. I don't know what I am thinking yet. Even at 5 years old, he wasn't wearing anything resembling Santa. He looked around at all the gifts. I thanked him for all the presents as he began picking up the bigger boxes. I remember being confused, and I am pretty sure I asked him why he was doing what he was doing, but I'm not exactly sure what he said. I remember it was along the lines of, I'm just replacing the gifts with better ones in my sled. I believed whatever he said, though. He walked out the back door with 3 boxes and came back momentarily to grab more, then left again. He came back in, patted me on the back of the head, and told me not to tell my parents I saw him. I smiled and agreed, and he took off with the boxes. I waited for him to come back with the replacement gifts, but he never did. I eventually woke up my parents, despite what he said. When my parents realized that I wasn't joking, they sat up in shock and fear and ran downstairs. When they saw half the presents were gone and the back door was left wide open, my mom screamed like a deranged person. I remember my parents were practically scolding me, demanding for me to describe the man who entered our house. Of course, being 5 years old, the description I gave wasn't anything useful. All I probably told them was that he was tall. It's been almost 15 years now, though at this point for me, being that I was only 5 years old, it's nothing but a story to tell rather than a bad memory.